Ohio State's #1 recruiting class got even stronger this weekend. We're going to hit on the Buckeyes' latest commitments, but they might not be done yet. I got Ohio State recruiting insider Matt Parker on today's video. We're going to find out if this recruiting hot streak is over or if there's still more to come. But first, Buckeye fans, lock in. Let's get this thing to 50K. Look, we're almost there. Hit subscribe for me, please. Okay. Bring on Matt Parker from Letterman Row. Now, Ohio State, two big commitments. Tight end Nate Roberts, top 150 prospect, and also three-star safety Cody Haddad committed on Saturday. Big safety commitment right there because we've been talking a lot about this DB class. So I want to know, is there still room for guys like a Trey McNutt, Fahim Delane, and linebacker safety Jonah Williams? Like, how do you see the rest of Ohio State's DB class shaking out?
Well, Josh, you mentioned two of the guys that have been top priorities for Ohio State for going on 2 years now with Fahim Delane and Trey McNutt. And there's absolutely room for those two. As a matter of fact, those are the one and two guys for, Ryan Day, Jim Knowles, and safeties coach Matt Guerrieri there with the safety class specifically. Cody Haddad is a great addition. He only played in 4 games in his junior season last year because of a broken leg that he had in a preseason scrimmage. But in those 4 games, he was responsible for like 5 or 6 turnovers, around 40 tackles, something like that, on a St. Ignatius team that is historically a good program, but had a down year last year. He came in and it was that jolt of energy that they needed. Great pickup for the Buckeyes, but there's absolutely room for those two elite safeties, one of which being an in-state guy with Trey McNutt from Shaker Heights, just outside of the Cleveland area. The board doesn't change for Ohio State with those two. With Cody Haddad and Doran Stewart of DePaul Catholic out in New Jersey committed to the class. Jonah Williams is the interesting name in there just
Yeah.
because Ohio State, for the longest time, they've been recruiting him as that safety. I know us at On3, we have him scouted and, projected as a linebacker at the next level. There's been some conversation with Ohio State about him maybe being a linebacker. James Laurinaitis having some conversations with him as this recruitment is starting to pick up with Ohio State. But I'll be quite frank with you, Josh. I think it's going to be really tough for Ohio State to really, really crack that recruitment, just knowing that Oklahoma and now Texas, after talking with Justin Wells on the Texas side this past week, those two are the top dogs, and it's going to be really, really tough for Ohio State to really be a serious contender in that recruitment. And we haven't even talked about our guy, Dorian Brew, in this defensive back conversation, who, has Ohio roots, grew up in Ohio. So there's definitely 2 more spots. I'll say that. And who's going to get them? It's first come, first served, man.
Yeah.
That's how it is at this point.
Yeah, we talk a lot about this DB class, one of the best in America, or it has the chance to be. So, Ohio State fans, let me know below, who do you guys want to see the Buckeyes finish with at the DB position? We're going to keep monitoring this. We'll talk to you about it in another video, Matt. But right now, I want to talk about one of the most anticipated visits of the weekend, and that was the #1 player in the 2026 class, Jahkeem Stewart, defensive lineman. You can look at this visit one of two ways. You can look at it as like, hey, we're getting this guy on campus early. He's the #1 player in the 2026 class, laying the groundwork for his future recruitment to Ohio State. Or you can look at it a different way, because recently he was on the 5-Star Flex on the On3 Recruits channel and said that he's considering reclassifying to 2025. Now, if he does that, then we could be looking at a recruitment that comes to an end in 3 or 4 months, maybe by the end of summer, depending on if he reclassifies or not. So this visit for Jahkeem Stewart was huge. What are you hearing coming out of this trip and where Ohio State stands?
Well, you look at the On3 recruiting prediction machine, which isn't perfect, but it's often pretty accurate. LSU is the heavy favorite for Jahkeem Stewart right now, and that checks out. He's a Louisiana kid. He's been to LSU half a dozen times at least. Has great relationships there, but Ohio State did a lot to move the needle this weekend, Josh. I'm sure you read the report from Steve Wiltfong just about the visit and how Jahkeem Stewart said this was the best visit by far. And then he doubled down on the comment by far. That's pretty telling to me. Now, he was still on the visit while some of these comments were made. So that post visit glow hadn't even started yet. That was just visit glow that we're talking about here. Um, but the biggest thing to me that in that report, and I was reading that and then was talking to some people Sunday about this, is that Jahkeem Stewart, he's planning to get back to Ohio State. He wants to get back in June.
Mhm.
Maybe he will camp at Ohio State, giving him the opportunity to work with, defensive line coach Larry Johnson, one of the most respected position coaches in all of college football. And if he does make it back to Ohio State in June, I think we really need to start paying attention to Ohio State, regardless of if Jahkeem Stewart decides to stay in the 2026 cycle or if he decides to reclassify. Ohio State has a dire need for defensive linemen in the 2025 cycle. They already have two right now with edge rushers London Merritt and Zahir Mathis. So they need an inside guy. You could see Jahkeem Stewart playing on the edge. You could see it. He has certainly the size. I mean, I saw him Saturday, and I'm like, that guy could play a defensive tackle if he wanted
Right.
to. I mean, the options and possibilities are limitless with a guy that is just naturally like that. But to the point and notion of reclassification, the only thing that I could see that being a drawback if he decides to reclassify is, Ohio State is just now getting started here. Whereas LSU, this is a guy that's in its backyard. They already have the relationship. Family knows, it's very familiar for him. Ohio State is brand new. So if that reclassification decides to happen, I don't see how anyone other than LSU can win that recruitment.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, Doran Moore did not visit. We thought that was going to be the biggest visit of the weekend. He's committed to LSU. How do you look at his inability to make it up to Columbus? I know he's playing in a 7-on-7 tournament. Are you hearing that it's going to be rescheduled, or do you think that this recruitment is just still needs to get going?
No, he will be back at Ohio State. That was rescheduled
Okay.
before it was even announced that he wasn't going to be able to make it. He'll be heading to Ohio State sometime at the end of April, is what I was told. Still working on a date on my end, but I have heard from a couple of different people that Doran Moore and his mom are going to be at Ohio State before April is over, which when I think about it, the spring game would have been a good opportunity for him just to see,
Yeah.
what Ohio Stadium is like when people are in the stands and all of that. But Josh, if Doran Moore does make it back at the end of April as scheduled, as hoped for, I suppose, uh, that'll be a very big one-on-one opportunity with Doran Moore, his family, and the entire Ohio State program, which that could be a pretty eye-opening experience considering this is a five-star wide receiver that we're talking about here, let alone the number one wide receiver in the country that we're talking about here. So, end of April, and there's definitely an official visit for being worked out as well.
All right. I teased it at the top. Is Ohio State done, or are they going to stay hot? Matt, you tell me. Coming out of the weekend, as we tape on Sunday, they have 2 commitments. Who do you think could be the next to commit, and do we see any more in the wake of the spring game?
I think it's going to be cooling off for a little bit here. The Nate Roberts commitment, that was not a surprise because we Letterman Row got wind of it Thursday night that it was going to
Mhm.
happen Saturday. And then Cody Haddad, it was just a matter of time, quite honestly, especially since, when he decommitted from Wisconsin. So I think the Buckeyes are going to be cooling off just a little bit here. I would expect the next commit sometime in June, maybe July after official visits. And I'm going to go with the guy that I've had a fresh pick in the RPM machine for, and that's Jordan Davison, the running back out of Santa Ana, California, modern day running back. Ohio State just, they hired Carlos Lachlan from Oregon. He has a relationship with Lachlan. The official visit is being worked out right now. I know he was just at Texas, and Texas is really the only other school that I'm paying attention to in this recruitment besides
Yeah.
Ohio State. But I think Jordan Davison could be the next guy to pull the trigger and say, I want to be a Buckeye.
All right, Buckeye fans still holding on to the number 1 class, but who do you guys think is going to be the next commitment to this 2025 cycle? Let me know, comment section below. Thank you for watching this video. And if you enjoyed that, go check out the hundreds of videos that we have on this channel. And also, do me a favor, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel.